Hugh Hendry on Fed, ECB, Treasuries, monetary policy. Full interview. Bloomberg Markets and Finance. Null. Your browser isn't supported anymore. Update it to get the best YouTube experience and our latest features. Learn more. Remind me later. Rihanna's Lift Me Up sets emotional Wakanda Forever tone. CNN. Rihanna's first solo new music in 6 years is out and tugging at heartstrings. Rihanna's first solo new music in 6 years is out and tugging at heartstrings. Lift Me Up from the Black Panther Wakanda Forever soundtrack was released Friday. The song is already a hit with her F+1236 Chars. Ohio boy, 2, is hospitalized after being infected by 3 viruses at the same time. Daily Mail. Wilder Jackson, 2, of Middletown, Ohio, just 30 miles north of Cincinnati, was simultaneously battling rhinovirus, enterovirus and adenovirus. A boy in Ohio was hospitalized after catching 3 respiratory viruses at once, amid fears co-infections are on the rise. Wilder Jackson, 2, from Middletown, just 30 miles north of Cincinnati. +4319 Chars. James Webb Space Telescope snaps new super spooky image of pillars of creation. Space.com. Thousands of stars that exist in this region disappear from view. This gloomy view of an iconic space dust structure is just the Halloween mood we need. James Webb Space Telescope scientists have released a second view of the iconic pillars of creation. This one P+2485 Chars. Packers list 4 questionable. Rule out 2 for Bills game. Packers.com. Linebacker Raskin Gary was a full participant in Friday's practice. Green Bay. The Packers have listed linebacker Raskin Gary. Concussion. Tackle David Bakhtiari. Knee. Guard Elkton Jenkins. Knee. And receiver Christian Watson. Hamstring. As questionable for Sunday. +1562 Chars. The Outlast Trials Terrifying Opening gameplay. GameSpot. The closed beta for the Outlast Trials kicked off on Halloween weekend. And it is not for the faint of heart. In this video we'll show you the opening cutscene. Null. 54% of adults say they have stopped or reduced their retirement savings contributions due to inflation. Study shows, CNBC. If you're among the retirement savers who has had to reduce your contributions or dip into your account early, here are some tips for getting back on track. It's no secret that higher prices are taking a bite out of household budgets. They also appear to have made some people change their retirement savings habits. Inflation has caused 54% of adults to +3382 Chars. House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, and/or fans face long waits for Season 2. Hollywood Reporter. Great article. But you buried the lead. A Hollywood Reporter reader recently fumed in an email. 2 years before Season 2 comes out. The reader was referring to our recent cover story on The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power, which included a tidbit. Great article. But you buried the lead. A Hollywood Reporter reader recently fumed in an email. 2 years before Season 2 comes out. Quote. The reader was referring to our recent cover story on the low. +6459 Chars. David Raskin. veteran prosecutor, joins Trump Mar-a-Lago probe. The Washington Post. David Raskin joins the case as outside national security experts say prosecutors have amassed evidence that meets some key criteria for charging Donald Trump. Comment on this story. One of the Justice Department's most experienced national security prosecutors has joined the team, overseeing the intensifying investigation of classified documents at Donald Tr. +13127 Chars. CDC issues warning as new data shows scope of polio spread in NYC Area. NBC New York. CDC guidelines say get your vaccine. Here's what to know about the schedule and more. About 8% of wastewater samples tested in a 13-county area around New York City in recent months came back positive for polio, the CDC said Friday, indicating sustained community transmission of the V+1614 Chars. NASA's InSight Mars lander detects stunning meteoroid impact on red planet. SciTech Daily. NASA's InSight lander felt the ground shake during the impact while cameras aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter captured the cavernous new crater from space. Last December 24, NASA's InSight lander recorded a magnitude 4 Marsquake. However, scientists only. By Jet Propulsion Laboratory October 28, 2022. Artist's impression of the meteorite impact of December 24, 2021, in the Amazones Planitia region on Mars. Credit. Copyright IPGPC NESN. Starter. NASA. Establish. +11936 Chars. Sources. Lakers plan for Russell Westbrook to come off bench. ESPN. Russell Westbrook is expected to come off the bench for the Lakers game against the Wolves on Friday night, sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Minneapolis. The Los Angeles Lakers are planning to bring Russell Westbrook off the bench Friday against the Minnesota Timberwolves, sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, and will continue to far. +1096 Chars. IKEA asks horror game to change so people stop comparing it to IKEA. Kotaku. The Store is Closed is a co-op survival game that is set in a furniture store. In an unexpected move, furniture giant IKEA has sent a solo indie developer a cease and desist letter reviewed by Kotaku, demanding he make changes to his unreleased survival horror game set in an IK. +5663 Chars. Dow's performance a harbinger of what's to come in the next few years, says Cerity's Lebenthal. CNBC Television. CNBC's halftime report investment committee discuss the biggest market stories from the week, including what's behind the latest move in the Dow. Null. Will Smith says Floyd Mayweather called him 10 days straight after Oscars slap. TMZ. Will Smith says Floyd Mayweather called him for 10 days straight after he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, just to make sure he was okay. Will Smith was in a dark place after he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, but he had a champion in his corner. The actor says Floyd Mayweather called him every day for 10 straight days after the in. +1579 Chars. Rihanna's Lift Me Up sets emotional Wakanda Forever tone. CNN. Rihanna's first solo new music in 6 years is out and tugging at heartstrings. Rihanna's first solo new music in 6 years is out and tugging at heartstrings. Lift Me Up from the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever soundtrack was released Friday. The song is already a hit with her F+1236 Chars. Baked Garlicky Salmon Balls Recipe. Eating well. These garlic-forward salmon balls are tender and flavorful. Add them to a salad or grain bowl for a boost of protein. Combine salmon, breadcrumbs, scallion, egg, yogurt and garlic in a large bowl. Stir, breaking up the salmon, until well mixed. With clean hands, roll about 1½ tablespoons of the mixture into a bowl. +207 Chars. NASA spotted the sun smiling. And it's the most joyous thing. Science alert. Sometimes an unexpected smile is all it takes to turn your day around. Sometimes an unexpected smile is all it takes to turn your day around. Well, that kind of cheery surprise doesn't get much bigger than this. Astronomers at NASA have spotted the sun beaming a remark. +1779 Chars. Voy. NBA pursuing upper salary limit in CBA negotiations with Players Union, Bleacher Report. The NBA is reportedly seeking to add an Ezra Shaw. Getty Images. The NBA reportedly is seeking to add an upper salary limit in its negotiations with the National Basketball Players Association on a new collective bargaining agreement. ACC. +3580 Chars. You will get a free 32 GB DDR5-5600 kit and $50 US off AM5 motherboards if you purchase an A.N.D. Ryzen 7000 CPU at Microcenter, WCCF Tech. Microcenter is now offering a free DDR5-5600 memory kit and $50 US off AM5 motherboards with each purchase of A.M.D. Ryzen 7000 desktop CPUs. Last month, Microcenter announced that it would be giving away a free 32 GB DDR5-5600 memory kit along with a small $20 US discount on each purchase of AMD's Ryzen 7000 desktop CPUs. Now, it looks Lee. +3038 Chars. Inflation data shows U.S. prices were still uncomfortably high last month, CNN. A new batch of inflation data released Friday showed that while prices remained uncomfortably high in September, a slowdown in wage growth indicates some relief may be in sight. That's an encouraging development for the Federal Reserve, which is battling to be. Minneapolis CNN Business. Jerry Lee Lewis, notorious U.S. rock and roll star, dies aged 87. The Guardian. Artists' songs such as Great Balls of Fire helped install rock and roll as the dominant American pop music of the 1950s. Jerry Lee Lewis, the rock and roll pioneer who became one of the most infamous figures in popular music, has died aged 87. His publicist has said he died of natural causes at his home in DeSoto County. +4138 Chars. Packers list 4 questionable. Rule out 2 for Bills game. Packers.com. Linebacker Raskin Gary was a full participant in Friday's practice. Green Bay. The Packers have listed linebacker Raskin Gary. Concussion. Tackle David Bakhtiari. Knee. Guard Elkton Jenkins. Knee. And receiver Christian Watson. Hamstring. as questionable for Sunday, plus 1562 Chars. One of the world's biggest killers is on the rise again, Gizmodo. There were an estimated 10.6 million cases and 1.6 million deaths caused by tuberculosis last year. A WHO report has found one of the deadliest diseases in the world is once again gaining steam. A new report this week by the World Health Organization shows that global cases of tuberculosis and drug-resistant tuberculosis, plus 2936 Chars. Scientists astonished by strange material that can be made like plastic but conducts like metal. Sci-Tech Daily. Like conductive Play-Doh. Breakthrough could point way to a new class of materials for electronic devices. University of Chicago scientists have discovered a way to create a material that can be made like a plastic, but conducts electricity more like a metal. By Louise Lerner. University of Chicago, October 27, 2022. A group of scientists at the University of Chicago has discovered a way to create a material in which the molecular fragments are jumbled and d. plus 7829 Chars. Blazin 5. Lions upset tour at home. Browns cover against Bengals in Week 8. NFL. The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd shares his Blazin 5 picks of Week 8, including the Cleveland Browns upsetting AFC North rival Cincinnati Bengals and the New Orleans Saints N.A. Null. Resident Evil Village Cloud Review. Switch eShop. Nintendo Life. A Cloud Tech coin flip winner. Mostly captured on Nintendo Switch. Docked. Note: this cloud version of Resident Evil Village was tested on 100 MB UW broadband over Wi-Fi along with 5G mobile connection. The Resident Evil series has seen plus 6942 Chars.